ask questions in the interlocal agreement from the sanitation district. Just to kind of briefly touch on the program, as you know, in previous years, dating back to 2013 and beyond, sanitation district had a program in place where they would come in and help identify possible breaks in private lateral lines. Most notably, if there were breaks that caused damage to the public street. In 2013, they suspended this program. So for most of 2014, the homeowner was responsible for the entire lateral line. They are private lines. Sanitation district had been offering this program that would help the cost because they were so substantial if the damages were in the roadway. Well, they have gotten a lot of pressure from municipalities in the region saying that it's too much of a hardship on the residents, and that the sanitation district can obviously do the job at a much cheaper cost as they routinely do these types of things anyway. So they have reinstated the program, but it is not quite the same as it was before. The main difference being that the cities are now responsible for the final completion of the roadway. Now what that means is if there's damage to the lateral line and it undermines a portion of the public road, it's the homeowner's responsibility to identify it and to make the proper contacts with the sanitation district for them to come out, do the camera work, and actually designate whether or not it is actually a sanitation issue or not. If it is and there's damage to the road, they'll dig it up, they'll make the necessary repairs to that portion of the line at no cost to the homeowner. They'll fill in the hole, and it'll be the city's responsibility to do the final resurfacing, being the top portion of it. So it would most likely look like a filled-in hole, and the city would come in and do the final asphalt patchwork. So there will be some costs associated to the city, but it's not very expensive, and obviously the caveat being no expense to the homeowners. Now, if there's a break between the roadway and your home, the homeowner is still responsible for that damage.
I would like to make a suggestion. We have more time to study this and bring it back at the 15th meeting. I've talked to one of the county commissioners, and he's given us a little advice, and maybe we can talk as a group.
Sure. Like I said, take some time to look at the interlocal agreement. They won't do any repairs until the interlocal agreement is signed, but that's perfectly fine. Take enough time to understand it. You can certainly ask me more questions either tonight or in private. We'll post some frequently asked questions on our website and the letter so the homeowners can get an idea of what the program is all about versus just a 2-minute rundown for myself. So that's it. Does council have any further questions? I'll be happy to answer those.
I just want to make one comment, Michael, and I've stated this in the past. Just recently, in the last couple of years, this sanitation department has raised the sanitation bill 15% 3 years in a row. And now they want to come back and say we got to pay for something. I think this is highly insulting to me. My other question is, has it always been the homeowner's responsibility to go from the house to the street?
The private lateral lines have always been the responsibility of the homeowners.
Okay.
Now, there was a portion, as I said, where sanitation district had a program where they had it funded to make the repairs if the damage, the private line, was causing issues to the public roadway.
Right.
They always haven't had it, but they had it for a period of time, did away with it in 2014, and now have reestablished it late 2015, obviously with some changes.
I just want to make that note.
Michael, on that issue, let's say there is a lateral break and they have to dig from the front of the house through the sidewalk all the way out in the middle of the street. Under this program, they will fill the street hole, compacted to normal standards for a street, and all we would have to do is the asphalt on the street. The sidewalk and the rest of the property would still be the responsibility of the homeowner.
They wouldn't come in and dig up anything that wasn't on the street. They'll come in and they usually help identify.
Okay.
And they have a couple different ways that they do that. It'll involve dye work in the property owner's home or in the streetway, but they'll be able to identify where the problem is. They may say the problem is causing the road damage, but it's also causing damage to your property. But they won't do the repair in the property. That'll be up to the homeowner to go out and contract that with a licensed plumber,
Including the sidewalk?
including the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
When do they need to know about this, Michael?
What's that?
When is the sanitation department, do they give us a deadline?
They didn't really give us a deadline, they just said they're not gonna honor the program for the city, meaning if there's a break between now and when you decide upon it, they won't fix it until the interlocal agreement's signed. Now, they're also doing it on a not first come, first served basis. They're prioritizing the damages as they come in. So they may put some on the back burner over one that may be a little bit more serious to the roadway. But they won't do any repair until the interlocal agreement's signed, is the way it reads right now.
Okay.
Mike, can I backtrack? I was looking at that handicap application, and they don't have a handicap plate, but as long as they have the placard that the clerk issues hanging in the window, we usually accept that. In other words, do you have a permit issued by the county clerk?
Right, there's a question on if he even has a vehicle, which we're looking into. So that may not be,
Oh, so there's more than one issue with it.
yeah, that may not be his vehicle. So I'm gonna talk to him, when I call him and tell him it's denied tomorrow, I'll explain to him that there's certain procedures that he has to come back and refill it and possibly contest it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
No, it's okay.
thought you were just letting it go because of the plate.
Third thing,
I guess we're gonna table this till the 15th.
okay. With that, I'll need a motion, if you all want some more time to look at it, we'll need a motion.
Here's the.
I make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Joey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Next item I've got, the school has made a request to the city. As you know, when we helped resurface Green Devil Lane, we put in some diagonal parking spaces for their employees, for some visitors. They would like an additional space on that row for the new nurse that they've hired. So I'd like to ask you all for permission to do that tonight, but I would make one suggestion. And I've had this conversation with Jay before, and I'll reiterate it again. We've gotten some calls from some of the property owners that live on Fifth, concerned that maybe some of the teachers or visitors at the school park there first instead of designated parking spaces, or even the employee lots down in between the two schools. Now, while it's a public way, you can't really restrict anybody from parking there. I will ask Jay that he reiterate to the teachers and faculty that they maybe try to use the designated spots first, and then the parking lot second, and then obviously if need be anything out in front. I'm guilty of parking there for convenience purposes, but it would be nice to help out some of the homeowners if possible.
I need a motion to sign.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by
Is
Bill.
this to add a space or just designate an
No,
existing
add a
space?
space.
There's 6 spaces down there, we're gonna add 1 more for it because we got a nurse down there.
And this would be on the east side of the street,
Green Devil Lane going down on the side for St. Bernard.
Be on the west side.
on the west side, and there's room there to do that without,
Yeah. Oh, there's all kinds of room, you just keep adding spots.
okay, thank you.
Are you second or you just?
I think Bill did already.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Joe. All in favor? Opposed? So ordered.
All right, and I want to give 3 updates, and then I'll finish and we can move along. There is a planning and zoning meeting tomorrow night in this room at 7 o'clock. If you're interested in what's going on in the river, there are some of those applications on the agenda tomorrow night, so it'll be very informative. I got word from the state earlier today, the Department of Local Government. I was asking about an update to the park conversion that we submitted back in the spring. They originally, told us it usually takes up to 3 months in order to hear back. It's not set in stone, so we expected in July, late July, to hear something. Obviously, here to September 1st, we didn't hear anything. So I asked, and they said, obviously, it's in the federal government's hands. They think they're grouping them all together, and they'll announce them at the end of the federal fiscal year. So we expect, hopefully, to hear something about the status of that conversion in October. So I wanted to give an update on that. At the same time, there is funding available, obviously, for sidewalks and on Dayton Pike, but also along 6th Avenue. So hopefully this winter we'll work on some of the design phases of that. So hopefully next year we can get some of that going.
Michael, let me ask you a question. Is it possible that will be denied?
there's always a possibility. Everybody that I've talked to said our report was great. It was one of the better ones they've actually ever seen, and they don't see a reason why it wouldn't.
If it was,
But I'm not going to count the chickens, obviously, until they're
if it was, then what would the choice be? Then what?
we're back to square one, and we'd have to find another property to start the conversion.
Okay.
Michael, did you say the meeting tomorrow night is 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock?
7 o'clock. Did I say 6?
I have on my calendar 6 o'clock.
That is probably a typo. They're at 7 o'clock. Are you talking about the planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning.
It was only Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
Is that the?
That's
Yeah,
the one,
probably
yeah,
just
that's what Don always had, so I probably just put 6 on
It's
it.
at 7?
It's at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
7 o'clock here. And then the last thing I want to give an update on, I know discussion has been had about some traffic concerns along the avenue and the new entrance to Manhattan Harbor. So I did sit down with the Department of Transportation Department here in Northern Kentucky, kind of relayed to them some of our ideas, some of our concerns going forward on how the traffic will be impacted on all of our streets due to increasing populations here over the next several years. And they were very positive and willing to come to the table anytime we wanted to discuss options on what to do. So I was very encouraged. That was about all I took away from it, just knowing that whenever we formulate a plan or are ready to sit down, they're ready to listen. I think they'll be very cooperative. That's all I have.
City attorney's report.
Nothing to write.
Consent agenda, the minutes from the August 4th meeting. Need a motion if they've been read. Any corrections or anything?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the August 4th as they're written.
Second.
Motion by Joe, seconded by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Ordinance and orders. Order 2015-10 are surplus property, 1 German Shepherd police dog.
City of Dayton, Kentucky Municipal Order Number 2015-10R. A municipal order declaring city-owned personal property as surplus and authorizing the city administrator to transfer with or without compensation to another governmental agency. Be it hereby ordered by the City of Dayton, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that the City of Dayton, in accordance with the provisions of KRS 82.083 and KRS 45A.365, hereby make the following findings. A, that it is in the public interest for the city to declare the following personal property as surplus. 1 German Shepherd police dog. B, that the intended purpose of the property described herein at the time of the initial purchase was for the police service in conjunction with an officer who has gone through specialized training with a specific police dog. C, that the personal property described herein is no longer of value because the officer trained with this particular dog is no longer employed by the City of Dayton. D, that the property shall be transferred with or without compensation to the City of Ludlow pursuant to KRS 82.083 3A. Section 2, that any compensation resulting from the disposal of the personal property described herein shall be transferred to the general fund of the city.
I need a motion.
Make a motion, we adopt municipal order 10R.
Second. By Bill, second by Kenny. Comments?
Yeah, I had a question. Did we decide on the compensation for that?
Yes, we do.
That was what we discussed before.
6,000.
6,000. Okay.
Chief,
Chief, you got anything to say about this? I mean,
Just to add on it, we had an officer that was canine trained. He was here 4 years. The dog usually with the experience has about 8 years of total training that it can be out on the road before they have to be taken out of service. So it had a little over 4 years as it was. We just felt the officer trained with the dog. We actually had somebody come in, a canine expert come in with the dog and do some training itself just to see if it would be able to, another handler can take the dog to work with the dog and how it would do it. Because usually, dogs develop bonds with their owners. And we just felt it was in the best interest to let Officer Black, who who did go to Ludlow, take the dog to Ludlow. But obviously the dog belonged to the city of Dayton. So we asked, he requested to purchase the dog, and we came up with a number which we felt was satisfactory to the city. And that we went ahead with letting him go. Just to add to that, we are purchasing another dog through private donations, nothing that for this city. Officer Marksberry is going to be, we did raise the funds that we need for the dog. So we will be going, hopefully in the next couple weeks, down to Arkansas to pick up the dog. Officer Marksberry will be trained. It'll be a 2-week training, and we'll have another dog out on the street, brand new dog, November, hopefully by November.
Now I have a question.
Sure.
We're gonna learn something from what happened this time, right? With the dog, that it will go with the officer that it goes with. So we need to be a little more careful, I think, in thinking
Well, handlers, I
if
mean,
we're gonna do this. or
yeah,
not.
canine. I mean, it's a special breed of an officer.
I understand.
I mean, the canine, you have to have a good handler to have a good dog. If you have a lazy handler, you're gonna have a lazy dog. If you have somebody who's gung ho and gets out there with the dog and works the dog and stuff like that, you're gonna have a great dog. And Marksberry has gone above and beyond. I mean, going out and seeking donations, and this is something that he's really passionate and excited about. He has canines of his own, German Shepherds of his own at home. So it is a passion of his, and you can tell with him going out and actually seeking these donations, and just they have just different foundations that are out there that are willing to donate. Ben Roethlisberger has a foundation. It's called Ben Roethlisberger Foundation, and he donates for canines. So we're trying to seek extra money just for doctor care and food and stuff like that for the dog, the vet care or whatever for the dog. So all the property stays here that we generated over the years, as far as dog vests and kennels and things like that. So
Okay.
Canine's kind of new for me too. We had a canine here when I was here a long time ago, back in '98. So there's not many around, but they are an asset to police.
Chief, in the interim, doesn't Newport have 2 drug sniffing dogs?
Yeah, I mean, there are dogs in the county, but it is hard sometimes to get them. I needed one on day shift, and sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not. We've called Covington, we've called even far as Boone County to come over.
But
But the jail has.
I think we're getting, we know why we got rid of the dog.
Yeah.
We're gonna get another dog, but the motion is to make this dog surplus. So any more questions on the surplus part of it? If not, I need a motion and a second. Do we have a motion already, Don, on the floor?
Yeah,
I'll second.
no.
No, okay, I need a motion.
I made a motion
Okay.
to adopt this.
You second it, Joe?
No.
Yeah, we do have a second by Denny.
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready for.
I need a roll call vote.
Member Denny?
Aye.
Member Lynn? Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
So, the next one is ordinance 2015-11R surplus property 522-7, 410-8, and 525-4. Don?
City of Dayton, Kentucky municipal order number 2015-11R. A municipal order declaring city-owned real property as surplus and authorizing the city administrator to transfer. Be it hereby ordered by the City of Dayton, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that the City of Dayton, in accordance with provisions of KRS 82.083 and KRS 45A.365, hereby make the following findings. A, that is in the public interest for the city to declare the following personal property surplus. Real property commonly located and known as 522 7th Avenue. Real property commonly located and known as 410 8th Avenue. Real property commonly located and known as 525 4th Avenue. B, that the intended purpose of this property described herein at the time of the initial purchase was for city development. C, that it is public interest to dispose of the property because it is in the best interest to have these properties renovated and reestablished as ad valorem tax generating properties. D, that the properties shall be sold by sealed bid in accordance with the procedure for sealed bids under KRS 45A.3653 and 4. Section 2, that any and all compensation resulting from the disposal of the real property described herein shall be transferred to the general fund of the city.
Make the motion to accept.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Joey. Roll call on it.
Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Tucker?
Aye.
Member Gifford?
Aye.
Member Lynn?
So ordered. The next one is, we tabled it, that's the one. Next thing is the first reading of 2015-8, establishing a museum board.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, 2015, number 8. An order establishing a museum board describing its duties and terms of office. This ordinance creates a museum board which will be responsible for establishing, maintaining, and promoting a city museum. The board shall have the power to incorporate. The board will consist of 3 members who will be appointed by the mayor for staggered 4-year terms. The members will elect a chairman, vice chairman, and a secretary annually. And that's just the first reading.
Okay,
I actually have a question on that, sir.
go ahead.
I just got this today or yesterday. It says the board shall consist of 3 members, but then it says under quorum, 50% of the members shall constitute a quorum. I thought we had 4 members on the board now.
You always have an odd number because of breaking ties. So you'd have to have 2 members there to make a quorum. So it'd be 2/3 actually would have to be there.
Does that need to be reworded, Tom?
No, you're fine with it being, the quorum's still 2, so you.
It's still a majority.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing is first reading of 2015-9, which is the 2015-2016 tax rate.
I don't know what figures to read because I don't know what rate the council's going to take.
Danny, you had a finance meeting, did you guys come up with a rate?
Yeah, in our finance committee, we came up with 445, that, which is
That's what the tax rate is right now.
correct, that's the rate that the finance committee was.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Wait,
Would you make a motion to that
Yes.
effect?
Read that one.
I'll make a motion. That we keep the rate the same.
Second, any second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
That we keep the rate the same as it is for this past fiscal year.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me read that song.
Okay. City of Dayton, Kentucky, 2015, number 9. An ordinance promoting for the imposition, levy, collection, and enforcement of taxes for the city of Dayton, Campbell County, Kentucky, for the fiscal year July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016. This ordinance sets the real property ad valorem tax rate for the city for the present fiscal year at .4950 per $100 of value for real property, .5009 per $100 of value for automobile, personal property, and at .7500 per $100 of value for all other properties. Of that amount, .4445 of the real property will go to the general fund, .00500 of the real property rate will go to park maintenance and construction, .5009 of the automobile personal property tax rate will go to the general fund, and .7500 of the other personal property tax rate will go to the general fund. It sets the bank deposits at 25 thousandths of 1%, .025 of those deposits. The payer of these taxes must pay the sum due, that 2% is paid by December 31st, 2015, or the full amount by January 31st, 2016. The above taxes may be paid from September 15th, 2015 at the office of the City Clerk Treasurer and shall be delinquent after November 6, 2015. A penalty of 10% interest and at the rate of 12% per annum shall be charged on the account of such tax from November 7, 2015, or as otherwise provided by council by order to the date of payment. And that's the first reading.
All right. Since we had this first reading and we're keeping the same rate, we'll have to have a second meeting in September to vote this through. So our next meeting will be a regular meeting of September the 15th at 7 o'clock down here. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the first reading of 2015, number 10, amending the city curfew ordinance.
City of Dayton, Kentucky, 2015, number 10. An ordinance amending the city curfew ordinance for minors to add a daytime curfew and clarify police officers' duties and penalties. This ordinance amends City of Dayton Code of Ordinances 9710 through 97.99 to establish a daytime curfew in addition to a nighttime curfew. This ordinance clarifies police officers' duties in enforcing this ordinance and amends the penalty for violation of the ordinance as a Class B misdemeanor. That's the first reading.
Okay, a little bit on this. I know it's the first reading and we're not going to have a great discussion on it, but
I can touch on it.
yeah, go ahead.
It's basically for us, it's for students that have been suspended from school. We're having a lot of kids that have been sometimes suspended from other schools, but also here, and then we find them walking around during the daytime when they should be at home. We don't want them out walking around. They've been suspended, they need to be at home. This is not a time to be walking around the streets and just having a ball. We need to hold them responsible and hold the parents responsible. We had this towards the end of the year last year, and I want to make sure that we don't have kids that have been suspended out walking around and have no penalties for it. So.
Okay, thank you. Department heads, Donna.
The only thing I have is everybody has a copy of my report. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
Annie. Report.
Everybody has a copy of my report also. I don't know if anybody has any questions on it or not.
I want to thank Mr. Edge and Mr. Baker for getting that code enforcement reporting form online on our city website. Could you describe what the process would be when someone files an online?
Sure. The link is on the website. If anybody wants to go to the link, they can fill out a formal complaint on the property. I think the required fields have to be put in as far as your name, your email address, your address, and then the property address that you're complaining about, and then also what the status of the complaint is. I think it was set up yesterday afternoon. It's the first time we had it, and we've already received 2 complaints on it. Luckily, both complaints that we got, we have both of those property we're already working on, so hopefully it'll work out pretty well for us.
Well, you get 3 complaints because I filed one on my next door
That's true. I was gonna leave yours out.
yard looking too nice. The required fields, I've got 3 citizens already, after we posted that last night, 3 citizens came to me and said that they wished that the form was anonymous. Instead of having your name and email address required. They don't want to create issues in with the next door neighbor. It could be a tenant that doesn't want to get thrown out by his landlord.
I don't think the clerk, or she's gonna go down and tell them who it comes from. I think if you've got a complaint, you need to, just like you make a police complaint, you should come forward and say, here's the complaint. It's not like you're gonna run down and say, well, your neighbor said this or that.
But if I was to call after hours and leave a message with her, an anonymous message, she would still take up the complaint, correct?
Gonna go over the phone? Sure.
The only way a name would be given out is if somebody came up and filled out a public records request to see who made a complaint. If it's actually written on there, we don't ever give a name out or where the complaint came from.
And Tom, under the public records request, that name would have to be given, correct?
Correct. It wouldn't be protected from any kind of.
I would really prefer to see this anonymous. But to give the option of anonymous, and if you don't fill in your name and email address, you just don't get a follow-up message on it. But I tend to agree with the citizens that have reached out so far. I don't know what the rest of the council feels.
I would just note from the IT perspective as setting that up, the reason for having a lot of those fields as required is also to keep from any kind of spam or any kind of robots on the internet just filling out the forms and actually trying to hack our website or to try to fill out the forms and then get inundated on Annie's email with a bunch of emails that are not actually, they don't care about the city of Dayton or in no way related to the city of Dayton.
See, my comment is, it's just like the block watch, you have to stand up if you've got a problem and take an ownership to whether, some people are afraid to do that, but some people aren't. So that's why I would think that you want to do it the way we're doing it.
I guess we can try it for now and see how it works. If they want to make it an anonymous complaint, I mean, they can call during office hours. Like I said, if they don't want to give us their name, that's fine, or they can leave a voicemail message too if they're not comfortable talking to us. That's doable, and then see how that works. And
Is it a required field?
it is on there now, yes.
Oh,
You got anything else, Andy?
Sorry, I was gonna say this, maybe a little presumptuous here, is that the name, it's a required field, as in you've gotta put some data in there.
They could just type
It
that.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't tell you that you have to put the correct data in there.
Put in Denny Lynn.
Yeah.
But then are you gonna be chasing your tail? I mean, if it's not valid information or people aren't signing it, what's gonna make you know?
We get invalid complaints all the time. I mean, people complain on other people's properties just to do it. I mean, it's no different.
But they're not filling in a field now.
It's no different than what we do.
All right.
Yeah, if we get to a point where it's causing us more headache than actually producing results, we can.
Anything else? Thank you. Main Street.
Quickly, we'll kind of ask if you guys have my CCAP report. Sorry for the sending of it, but if you guys have any questions with that, I can answer those now. That's good. Questions, great day. I am currently working on a $2,500 grant from the Department of Local Government and the Kentucky Main Street program. I think last council meeting it was brought up to kind of dress up the avenue with something for Home Fest. The grant is due Thursday, and obviously their turnaround's pretty quick with smaller grants. So I'll be submitting that. We're looking at maybe flags or something low key to put on the avenue to kind of get the appearance and different stuff. Part of that would include a city flag, so it'll just be our logo in the center of a green field. So I think it'll look pretty nice and classy, and it'd be really kind of welcoming to our community. Continuing this next week, or I think it's next week, Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce is hosting Upstart. It's a kind of a business tech place where upcoming businesses kind of go to network with appropriate people. I'm working on setting up, getting a spot, setting up a booth so we can advertise CCAP and other advantages that Dayton offers to run a business out of this town. Work closely with Michael because we're also going to use that stuff to advertise at the Home Fest. So we're getting a lot of eyes on the city in the next couple months. So we're trying to make sure it's as professional as possible. Continuing, Fall Fest will be October 17th. Main Street's promotional item. It'll be from noon to about 10 o'clock at night. I'm still working with everybody, so if you guys, department heads haven't heard of anything, we're kind of in the early stages of planning it. Basically what we've done is we started recruiting vendors, and we're working on advertisements to get to the papers and things of that nature. This Saturday, I want to thank all the council members who were able to come out. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony for Kate's Catering. It turned out great. It was very quaint and really promoted what type of business she is, and we're very excited to have her. So I appreciate you guys coming out and supporting her as well as the Main Street. Two businesses that have recently opened up is Enrique Lopez Law Firm. Took over Tina Tanning's spot. He's kind of operating loosely out of that property right now. He's trying to convert it from a tanning bed to a law firm. So it's a little bit of a process, but we're working with them. Also, Abel's Upholstery just moved from Newport, Kentucky to open up in 505 6th Avenue in Dayton. And he works closely with his daughter. She's kind of learning the trade of upholstery, but she's also kind of expanding their company through custom designs, so like t-shirts and corrugated signs. With that, I also wanted to bring up tonight something I've been looking into. As Michael kind of mentioned earlier today, we we're looking at how we're going to address traffic issues in the future, even with these new businesses opening up. We're looking at what we can do for parking and also expanding sidewalks. Something I noticed that could help with the flow of Main Street traffic would be on Berry Avenue. There's the southern half of that block, intersection between 6th and Berry, is a one-way into 6th Ave, northbound. I wanted to, before I went in farther with approaching the tenants on that street, I wanted to see if council was okay with the idea of turning it back into a two-way by restricting parking on one side of the road.
What benefit would that give?
It would just give a lot of people just kind of go around. They want alley access back there. We have Tony's Old Saloon, which is, right now it's two ways approach. Kind of just getting off the avenue and into the back streets. It's just another avenue of that route.
I think also it would cut down on the drive-through through Kate's Catering.
I was getting ready to say, I'm sure that.
Since that's become part of extension of Berry Avenue, I believe. So I think that this is not a bad idea. It's really a good idea. This town is fine without all these one-way streets or one block one-way streets. They make no sense.
Anthony, when you say you're going to restrict parking on one side, I'm assuming it's going to be on the side where Case Catering is.
I haven't made that decision. I want to work with the city administrator on that pretty closely, but I want to get everybody's, any stakeholder who's involved in that street, I want to get their team.
I guess my question is, if you go up just a little further, you got residential, what would you do for the resident? I think there's probably 1 or 2, 3 houses on the one side.
There's 3 on one side and 2 on the other.
Okay, and it's not terrible to me, but I just,
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, and that's something I want to, trying to find a happy medium with, but it's just something that came up, and I just didn't want to go too much farther and then bring you guys this big study and not know where it came from. So it's really the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Definitely open to the idea.
Okay. That's all I have for my report. If there's any questions.
Anybody have any objections to them? Go ahead and talk with the neighbors and study this a little bit further.
I said bring back information and we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Autry, I gotta write this
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
Everybody should have a copy of my report. Just some of the things I'd like to share with the audience and with the council, things that kind of went on at the firehouse last month. We did do CPR training and live hands-on fire extinguisher training for the Dayton Independent School bus drivers. It went really well. So a good free year for that, doing that. We've been finalizing our incident action plan for the River Fest with river operations. One meeting tomorrow at Covington. We had 3 last month. So those will be finished and we'll be ready to go for Sunday. For the river, our boat will be out there. And we did have a new hire last month. Everybody has met James. He was presented his badge at the last month's fire board meeting, as well as the 3 awards given for the rescues on the river last month. The Fire Department Billy Dayton on the 25th hosted the North Kentucky Firefighter Association meeting. It was a luncheon at the training center. It went really well. We had about 60 people. And Motorola, that's the radios that we use, they came and actually provided lunch for everybody, so it was really well. And then also for Dayton schools, the coaches as well as 8 citizens we provided CPR for last month. So that was good to go. And if you see anybody that's not members on our medic unit, it's Cincinnati State Community College. We do get their students, and that's something that's been going on for a long time. We're getting a lot now. We had 5 last month. And when they go through medic school, there's a time where they have to do ride time. They have to have so many hands-on with patience and skills and things like that. So if you see an extra person on that medic unit, that's probably who it is. And they're required to wear blue pants and a white shirt. So they do sign a waiver. It's got a good working relationship with Cincinnati State. They also ride with Covington and move forward just because of our run volume. So they do. And they did come a lot now, and they have to be out of the firehouse by 11 o'clock. They usually ride during the daytime. The only other thing I just want to share with you, and I've stepped down, is that I was looking at our monthly squad runs. We're sent out today. I wanted to get them accurate, have them accurate. And we are up over 100 runs from this time last year. Then I was also looking at our out-of-town runs, squad runs. Newport, Fort Thompson, Southgate making runs into our city. Last year, there was a total of 121 runs we didn't make that out-of-city squads made. As of yesterday, we're already at 111 out-of-town squads. And so we're reminded the 200 mark this year for out-of-town squads. So I think with the riverfront development and everything down the road, there's going to be definitely a need for a second medic unit. So all of you should have all those emailed out today, so you can look at all these numbers. That's about all I have. If there are any questions on my report?
Does anything come in on the 3 other officers that we put in for that grant? He's put in to.
We keep checking. We haven't heard anything yet, so I think they're going to keep posting them every day up to October.
Okay.
So we're going to keep checking on that as well.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief Hayfield.
We touched on the daytime curfew and the K-9. We also are full staffed. We have 2 new hires. The past 2 weeks we hired Josh Zabel. He came from Alexandria Police Department. And then we hired Brian Powers. He came from the Airport Police. Zabel has about 4 years of police experience, and Brian has 3. So these are new officers. We see them, seeing a new face out there. They'll be riding along. They're in the field training right now with the other officers, just getting to know the streets. And so we'll be at 10 officers. We'll be fully staffed, which is good. So our neighborhood watch, next neighborhood watch meeting is going to be September 14th. That's going to be at the Dayton Baptist Church again at 7 o'clock. So that'll be in the next week or so, 2 weeks or whatever. The next thing I think we've touched on is Home Fest. Michael kind of touched on that. We're working on traffic issues to try to alleviate. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's just to try to alleviate. We'll have details coming for police officers to monitor the light there at O'Fallon and 6 and O'Fallon. We'll have a button there to help the flow of traffic, but we'll also, it has to be looked at too, if the flow of traffic, we keep sending the traffic down to Bellevue, we got to make sure that, we've been looking at maybe trying to get the lights synced with each other so the flow constantly goes, we have a constant flow. So we are working on that. That's something that's, we're on the way. So we are working on that. So hopefully, there's going to be traffic, but we're trying to make it as less headache as possible. So we're working on that. And I think that's it for me.
Thank you. Good job there.
And tell them to turn left as they come out, instead of going right to the
Yeah, we've come up with a couple things, a couple options just to kind of keep traffic from going in there. So I mean, we got things that's going to work out pretty good. It's just that traffic, and like the beginning of the Home Fest is going to be, I think, Bellevue's Friday, that they have the open business district that they have the thing on. So there's going to be a lot of traffic. So we're trying to make it as less headache as possible. So.
Locals use side streets that certainly.
Yeah,
the sidewalks. We expect the Fridays and Saturdays, obviously, are going to be the higher volumes, but certainly the first one. So if you know the side streets, I'd take them during those busy hours. Sure.
No communication, Tom.
No, sir.
Okay, standing committee reports, finance, member Lynn.
No report.
Public safety, member Gifford.
No report this time.
Thank you. Public works, member Burns.
No report, sir.
Parks and real estate, member Tucker.
The only thing to report is the next board meeting will be September 21st at 6 p.m. And that'll be at the VFW. That's all I have.
Personnel law and printing, member Deary.
Nothing to report.
Okay, and anybody got anything from economic development? Member Baker, the law, not here this evening. Any petitions from council? Please.
I just don't understand what
didn't know that was.
You're on top of it. Okay, any petitions from the audience?
Well, I'm Bob Slusher, I represent East State Baptist Church. If you know, last year, we asked for permission to use the parking lot on 6th Avenue. I was team attorney for trunk or treat, and we want to know if we have permission to do it again this year. And talking to the mayor, we're trying to make it an annual event. Last year, first year, this year, second year. And so we want to invite other people to use the other lot and everything else too, or churches or people, whatever. Get more people there, and more, it's better, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anybody have any objections to them using the church or parking lot?
Actually, there may be one issue this year with Purple Poulet opening in late September, early October. And that with that being public parking across the street. And it would be a Saturday night if we decide to make it on Halloween this year. It would be a Saturday night, so that could impact.
But you're gonna have set hours there, and this is only a one-time event for the kids. I don't have a problem with it, Bobby, at all.
If I could speak to that, I can talk to Red, I'm sure he's fine with it. It's a fun couple-hour event, and it really brings people from off the hill onto the avenue and really exposes our main street. So I participated last year, and I thought it was a great event.
I'd like to have a motion.
I make a motion that we'll allow,
First Baptist Church.
no, it's not First Baptist, East State Baptist Church, the use of the parking lot adjacent to Old Tina's Tanning for Halloween.
Second?
I'll second that.
Second by Joey. All in favor? So carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Anyone else from the audience?
Hi, I'm Leslie Carr from Vine Street. Certainly I'm glad to hear that there's going to be some serious consideration to the traffic. I really enjoyed the input that Joe Neary gave on, predicting the future and addressing what we have. But I have a recurring theme that I've heard since I've been here. It's that absentee landlords create so much havoc. And I had to call code enforcement again on a property that's always been a problem. Most people know it as Tony's Barber Shop. It's 304 6th and 2 apartments, one on 703 Line. Code enforcement is working on it. They've already made progress. Since this morning, there's been progress. But when we talk about our budget and supporting the police and fire department, the way to raise the revenue is to raise the property values. I know a lot of people have hopes for the businesses that come in, but our existing structures are being lowered by having these places with the trash and appliances and currently I found out, I went to Donna, said, does this, several houses around where I live, do they pay their rental license fee? They're not doing it. So we're not even getting that $50 a year, having to support the police and fire burden that they bring on us. And I would hope that there would be a way that we could address, how are we going to address these people that don't apply for rental licenses?
Tom and I have been talking about that. And what we're gonna do is he's gonna send a letter. And the one that you're talking about, though, he does pay rent. The one that
Yes,
you're talking
that
about,
one
he
does, yes.
And see, some people too, I have no idea where they live. They
Uh-huh.
have the address as the property address, and I have no idea where they're at. But we work on that on a daily basis. I have spoke with Tom, and I'm getting a list together. We've been working on it. He's gonna send one letter, and if we don't get any response, we're taking him to small claims court.
Great.
That's correct, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, that's really gonna be the plan, is eventually we're just gonna have to call on that, and we're gonna have to take some of these to court. Hopefully, the idea would be though, is that these people, after receiving the letter, would go ahead and pay their fees.
But some people, you have absolutely nowhere to get a hold of them because they use the mailing address as the rent, is that property, and you don't know where they live. It's impossible.
Right, you can't.
Like someone like you would tell me, like, if you knew where they lived or something.
Don, why don't we make that a qualification that you can't give the property, that you have to give your residential, your personal address and mailing address.
That would be,
Someone live there, though, in the
that would
future.
be PVA. I don't know if we could do that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Why can't we require them to give us the correct address instead of where the property is itself as
Yes.
their mailing address?
Yes, in the application, we require.
Would it, we do or we could?
Well, no,
The
he,
thing with this is they're.
they don't come and fill an application out.
They just basically own the property and rent
It's
it.
our property.
And they've got to go
I'm
back.
talking about for new. Anything new coming up, you know, we're stuck with a lot of this stuff, but we could make a change that could possibly make a difference.
Well, the problem is whether they're new or old, they're not coming in at all, they're just renting the property, and they're not doing anything with the city whatsoever. So there's nothing that we can do or require. All the property records are kept by the PBA, and all they require is that an address is put on there to where they can receive notices in mail, but no one doesn't follow up to make sure that they're receiving notices. At that point, once they've given them that information, then there is a presumption that they are receiving all the information they get, which will be, if any legal action that we take, we'll be able to use that to our case as well.
And we do get a large amount of rental paid. I mean, I think we have a pretty good percentage of rental that gets paid. There's always the 15%, 20%.
And yeah, I understand that you have no way of knowing. I mean, I'll bring in more addresses and you can check them out. But recently, this council renegotiated their contract with the CSI. Maybe some issues could have been, no, that you didn't,
I got it.
Contract's up at the end of this year,
oh,
at the end
okay,
of this fiscal year, I'm sorry. So,
okay.
end of June 2016 contract is up.
Okay, maybe a consideration there, what would be, when we get our city tax bill and there's a portion there for garbage removal. Would it be possible that everyone has to get their standard container from CSI, the time that the truck lifts it up? And so one can per unit. So someone that has a 4 unit rental would have to pay for 4 cans. I think it would eliminate a lot of problems because, I see all the time, I'm sure everyone else does, people just throw their garbage on the street and then when the animals get it, and then it's up to Public Works to have to pick it up. And so it would create continuity.
Yeah, but if you went with one can, you would make more garbage. If somebody, they only use one can, they throw the rest of it in the bag and throw it on the side of the can. So
Well, then
then,
it would be up to them to get a second can, they could run it
well, you're saying that
themselves.
they should only be allowed to have one can. You just-
No, that they would be required to rent
I think she's
one
saying just
can.
at least a minimum of one can.
Yeah. So, I know I can get by on one can, some people can't, then they would have to go to CSI and rent it. It's $40 a year. I mean, I don't see that as being a lot on your tax bill, but it would create some kind of conformity, some kind of continuity. So I'm hoping that maybe that could be an option, because boy, I've seen some silly things.
Yeah, we our current contract with CSI is actually in tandem with the city of Bellevue. And Keith spoke with another city administrator, and they've already sat down several months ago just to make sure that we're on the same page. We intend to go out for a rebid in the spring, because there's actually some newer companies in the region that do
Cold
waste
Springs,
removal.
I think there's a new one setting up out there.
So we'll certainly take that into consideration and any other considerations that come up as we sit down and draw the new contract with, if it's CSI, that comes in, that has the best bid or the most reasonable bid, that makes sense for us or for somebody else. Those are the types of things we can look to possibly put in a contract. And Bellevue's is actually a little different than ours. Even though we go in tandem, they have a few different caveats, and we have a few different caveats of benefits and things that we get from the company, so.
Okay, great. But this is something that I haven't gotten around to talking about, that this spring, Campbell County Library did a program where there was a Girl Scout, and she's going for her gold badge. It would be like Eagle Scouts or Boy Scouts. And she wanted to create these little libraries. So the library got behind her and got corporate donations, private donations, volunteers that helped to build them. So if you wanted to put up a little library in your yard or park or whatever, it cost $10, I mean, which was really a deal. Then you weatherproofed it, decorated it however you wanted. But when I went to fill out the application, I wanted to apply for it on my neighbor's property. There's a tank bus stop on either corner, and that house is a school bus stop, but it would be a perfect place for it. When I went to fill out the application, I made it a 4-part application, because the first page says Little Free Library, which is a separate thing. If you notice, the category that the library did was Little Library. Little Free Library is a website where you can organize where they are. But to say that someone has to, if you read these, you have to register with them. That's like telling me I have to have AAA because I have a car. I have to have insurance, I have to have
It
tax.
has to do with zoning, it's got a lot to do with it. Tom can explain that a little better than I can.
The real problem that we have with it is, all that the application and the primary basis behind it is that it's related to our zoning code. Essentially, you can't have just these structures up on properties that don't fall within the zoning code as allowable. And accordingly, what the application does is it gets you on the process, so that way we can get the information that we need from you as to the location, get the city council to approve it. Then at that point, we can, essentially what we do is a little two-step around our zoning code, which is the property owner grants us an easement, and then we in return, which is a right to use part of your property, then we grant that right back to you as a license. So that way, you essentially, the city doesn't have to follow its own zoning code. So we essentially use that fact of law to our advantage and have you kind of, it's a little bit of a paper trail, but it lets us dodge
A
it.
little bit. I mean, that was just one point, that's what I envisioned, that it does not apply. I should not have to register with Little Free Libraries. Page 2 of the application wants my name, date of birth, social security number, property ID number, and if this clause says it's Kentucky Open Records Act. So that means anybody could walk in, ask for my application, and get my date of birth, social security number.
No.
I understand, okay, but this is the way, I know Don explained it to me that she would never have,
You can't,
she would never pass that
they
out.
don't pass it out.
I would white it all out, I would copy everything all that way.
Right.
You fall under an
I just think this is cumbersome. I think it's discouraged people from doing it. My hope was when someone saw 1 or 2 and they say, well, what is that? I'd like to know what the cost was associated for drawing up all these papers, and I understand there's a the city attorney gets a $35
I do
fee
not
every
actually
time.
recover any fee. What that is to pay the cost to the county clerk for the filing of the easement and license. That brings you in conformity with the zoning code. I take no additional funds
Okay, that's
in drawing up any of those documents.
All right, well, that was, I was really discouraged. Now, if it had been on my own property, the easement would have been my issue. I mean, whether I chose to do that or not, but since I was asking permission from a neighbor, I was very discouraged, and
He did come and get an application.
he did,
But
but
he hasn't heard back.
he's been, very busy and out of town. I'll get back with him, but that's my opinion. I thought that this was excessive. So, thank you.
Thanks for your opinion.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to address council?
I would like to just give council an update on behalf of the Civic Club regarding the Kite Festival. Still going on, October the 10th. We will have 2 professional kite teams in attendance. We are going to give out 450 free kites to the first 450 kids that attend. We now have mascots, 3 different mascots coming from the Cincinnati Reds. All of them are coming but Rosie. We have Florence Freedom Center mascots. We have the Cincinnati Roller Girls, Woolly Bullies coming. SDCA, possibly Frisch's, we're waiting on an answer on that. And we have the Dayton High School Marching Band gonna attend. There will be a parade on the avenue starting at around noon at Riverside down to Gilman Park. We've already talked to the mayor, but we haven't talked to Chief Hatfield yet. What else is there? We have the 6th grade class at Lincoln, or are they in the middle school now? Anyway, the 6th grade class is going to we're going to get 2 of the kite team professionals coming in. They're going to do a class with the 6th grade to kind of incorporate it into a study lesson, putting math and science and different things into it. Katie's Catering and Winter Heater are both going to have a booth. And we still got a lot pending. We're still waiting on a lot of answers, but we got a lot going on too. I would like to ask, I'm sorry?
What's the hours of it?
Noon to 5. We also we got a helium tank and the balloons donated from Party Source today. And we're gonna sell those to kids for $1 probably. And they can put a message in it, that says contact me here, Joe Leary's idea, we are doing it, Party Source gave us everything. So I just would like to ask council to make sure you help promote this event. It's going to be a great event. We got a lot still pending that we're waiting on answers for, but we got a lot going on too.
The Shriners coming?
Shriners.
The Shriners coming?
Oh, the Shriners, yeah, the Shriners, clown band, the clowns, their band, and their car unit, their auto unit.
This is Cornette. The earlier discussions with the parade, and I might have missed if you explained it, earlier discussions were to have the parade from O'Fallon along the top of the flood wall down to Gill Lynn, and at the last meeting, that was under discussion.
Yeah,
Has that changed, or?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but Catherine's talked to me since then. She's already secured Riverside as a starting point. She's already talked to Victor. So we're gonna have, it'll be the kite team, the band, the mascots, and all the Shriners will be a part of the parade. Not any kids. It'll be all just our entertainers.
And you're gonna go down 6th or along the top of the?
Down 6th to Barry, down to Gillen.
Okay. I was with Chief's concerns earlier about the traffic on those weekends on Fall Fest.
It'll be kind of like they do the homecoming parade.
Okay.
One behind us, one in front of us as we go. But I haven't talked to him.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. Good evening, residents. My name is Dustin Fawcetti, and I'm actually a Dayton native, and kind of build on what you left off with home ownership in our city. We don't really have it. I've noticed this. I'm from Dayton. My family's from this area, and the reason why I'm here today is to help promote home ownership. Kind of struggles that you're having with, lousy landlords not taking care of the property. Got some pretty bad tenants in the area. I want to bring home ownership to the city. Let's show these citizens that they can actually get a loan to buy this house instead of living next to somebody who actually rents a property and really doesn't care about the property itself. Let's get buyers into this area. Again, I'm from this area. My family's here. Now, are we able to build? Absolutely. We got one of the biggest projects going on right by the river. why not keep that momentum going into the city and help bring buyers to the city? Now, what I propose is to help with council, and if my services are needed, is to help any buyer get approved. And if they can't get approved, help them get approved. I mean, we got to get ownership in our city. Our city is 60% renters. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but they do a census report every year. And when it's statistic proven, when a higher ownership is in the city, it's not really a desirable city. That's the furthest from the truth of what we have here. You guys are putting great efforts and funds into the projects going on the river. We got it here. There's plenty of properties that can be renovated and helped get a home buyer into the city. And that's the only reason why I'm here. I'm here just to kind of come back to where I started and help rebuild the city and help people like you. Are you a homeowner, Ann? Do you own your property? Frustrating it must be having a landlord rent the property to just average Joe, and they just defecate your property. That's aggravating. And a lot of people don't understand that they can actually get approved for a loan, and they don't even know that they can. It's awareness, and bringing awareness to the city will help strengthen the city. I don't want to take too much of your time, but if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to help. I actually own a mortgage broker firm, and I'm able to provide lending to people who need loans and want to become owners, not landlords, or not renters anymore. So that's all I have. Thank you. Thanks, Council. F-O-S-S.
Do you have a business card?
Yes, I do. Got quite a few.
Does anybody hear about it?
Yeah. The gold stack with you. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kathy Gordon, 4th Avenue. A couple of things, different topics that we touched on. The Home Fest traffic, those of us who live in the shadow of the development, so to speak, really don't have a means by which to get out of the neighborhood if 6th is super busy or because we need the access from O'Fallon or to O'Fallon from 5th. This is going to be a great test run so that you all can see how much fun it is for 400 of us to potentially try to get out of the neighborhood. We have talked before, mentioned before, the possibility, alleged possibility anyway, of getting that one block of Norton Terrace to a two-way situation instead of one-way. Where are we?
Yeah, so I met with the Transportation Department a few weeks ago, and I kind of outlined some options that I thought were available, and I threw out kind of everything that we had talked about at a previous meeting, some ideas that I had. I wanted to gauge their optimism or lack thereof. If there wasn't any, if they weren't willing to work with the city, I was kind of curious. But I met with Rob Yancey's director of the department and 2 of his engineers, and they knew that a point would come when I would probably walk into their office and say, let's talk about this, because they've been aware that there's going to be some things that have to be shifted around in order to accommodate these people 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But I thought the meeting went very well. They were very open to our ideas and to the potential of moving things around to help accommodate traffic on the north side and the south side of Route 8. I didn't ask for a commitment from them. I just really wanted to gauge where they were coming from, and I thought they were very open. And they said, when you're ready to sit down and let us know, and what they'll do is they'll run tests based on what we feel like would be best for the city. So if we say, Urban Terrace, for example, we'd like to see that section move back into a two-way, or we'd like to make a proposal to move this light to this location. They think that there can be a case in certain situations that those requests can be accommodated. Now, they don't just do it because we want them to. That certainly does carry some weight, but they need to be able to justify being a state highway that moving a light is justified. So they would have to do tests and reports, but the vibe that I got from them was that they're more than willing to look at the options available, and when we tell them what we like or what we would like to see, or they said they'd be more than willing to run the tests to hope to justify those changes. So while I didn't ask for anything specific from them, when I left, I felt that they were on our side as far as trying to find solutions, which was encouraging.
Okay, so, and the answer is still, where are we?
I think where we are is we gotta figure out what this flow of traffic is gonna be before we go change, close the traffic lights. I mean, we really gotta get a handle on how that development's gonna go as far as the traffic flow going down there. Right now, it's a little congested, but it is a way out. You know, if you get too far down, you're gonna drive everybody from a Fountain all the way to Urban and up Urban to get out.
That beats having to go down to Berry.
Right. Well,
I know, but I mean, for right now, I mean, it's open, I don't think right now, there's some people down in your area that really want that to be left open for now.
Yeah, we understand that the biggest issues, safety issues come from.
Yeah, that's what it is, they're elderly people who do drive and don't want to come out on any other way, they don't want to go all the way to Urban.
Well, okay, so can I counter that with about 20 people who would like to
I understand.
have some assurance that we can get out on the avenue safely?
That's why when it comes down to it, there will be a traffic study have to be done in order to see where we are, or we're gonna have to go to them and say, we'd like to move the light to here, or we wanna move it there. But one thing we know for sure, they're not gonna put lights on Urban, Vine, Walnut, and a Fountain.
I guess what I'm asking is, at what point, how long do you anticipate waiting to come to the point at which we have gotten, hopefully, no fatalities trying to get off those side streets on the avenue?
Not long. Now that we had that meeting, I'm encouraged that in the coming weeks and months, whether it's a subcommittee of council or the entire council together, can start to have that honest discussion of, okay, we've talked about some hypothetical plans, what actually is the reality, which ones are pie in the sky, and then picking the ones that are a reality, which ones are the most effective. You can make a case for anything. You can make a case for moving the light from Urban to Vine, or moving it to Walnut, or making Urban two-way. None of those are wrong answers, but one of them is going to be better than the other, but we have to digest that information. We also have to rely on the data that we get back from the transportation department. So any combination of those could be a reality, but I think we're at that point where we can start to have that honest discussion.
I hope so. Because I think part of the, perhaps a substantial portion of the city may or may not be fully cognizant of, if they don't live in that specific neighborhood, is that we can only traverse the alleys parallel to 6th so far, and that's O'Fallon. Then we have no options to get out on the alley.
Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I think doing things in a timely manner, meaning not waiting until we have 2,000 people living on, theoretically, in Manhattan Harbor, would be really nice if we could have some degree of frustration reduction prior to.
Right. No, I agree. We don't need to wait that long. I think it's a discussion that needs to happen sooner than later. And I feel good having that meeting with the department, and we can talk about it now internally, locally.
Good. The other thing, and I appreciate that feedback because I was concerned that no one was ever going to have.
I don't like turning some of those lower streets either. I would like it for.
Would you like to do it every day at least?
No, I would not.
Come join me in that little adventure.
Mayor Brett.
One other thing, I
Hold on a minute, yeah.
want me to hold and remember my thought.
Write it down.
Who is the recycling?
Recycling?
There's best way.
Best way is coming to the one. Yeah, there's a new one, Rumpus Greeners. They have some transportation on it. Yeah, it is, yeah, they're allegedly.
That's great.
Yeah. Sometimes we miss that. That's why I'm.
All right, we're back. Go ahead.
The other observation or comment I'd like to make, even though I am not currently renting part of my property, the fact is not all landlords are delinquent or uncaring about their properties. I realize that those who don't care for their properties clearly take the focus of the council, but please remember there are those who do. Also, just as a point of reference, having had some personal experience in the small claims court, you can take people to small claims court, but there's no mechanism in Kentucky law to actually collect.
Actually, there is. You just got to be willing to actually do the work for it. what they have.
If you know
is-
where they are,
Well,
therein lies the problem.
with landlord properties, and I'm gonna correct you here, is with landlord properties, the issue is that you actually can put the lien on the property and then collect by taking the property and having it sold. So in this particular instance, you do have a mechanism to collect. Otherwise, your mechanisms are kind of, I agree that they're very thin sometimes, but when property's involved, you have a way bigger mechanism to collect any of those funds than you ever would in any other type of claim.
Do you not still have to know where the landlord is in order to serve notice?
No, you just gotta serve on that property. You gotta, I mean, there's some service rules, and I'm not gonna delve into the specifics, but the property's here, so we can take care of it.
And last but not least, in my curiosity factor, since the surplus property, as in the dog, was, if I understood correctly, that monies for said dog are to be put in the general fund? Is that correct?
They will.
Correct.
They
How
will.
much did we get for the dog?
$6,000.
$6,000.
Cool. Just wanted to know how much goes into the general fund. Thank you.
Well, it's coming right back out of the general fund to buy the next dog.
Well, that was not comfortable.
Not really. I the general fund for too
I'm
long.
trying to get money in, not out.
Can I just ask you a question on the same topic?
Yeah.
Up there? I'm Jean.
If you would, please. Thank you.
I'm Jean Cole, and I live on Urban Terrace, and this may be naive because I don't know how the traffic light situation works, but I'm wondering about the last block from the downside of Urban Terrace, that block that's now one-way. Can we just make that two-way and not do anything about the light? Because you can see, when you have a stop sign there, you can see when the light's red this way, and you can see when cars are coming, but you do have a better view there because cars aren't parked.
If you do that, Gene, with the lights being there, that would really, I mean, there's gonna have to be a light put there if they do that.
I mean, there is a light there, but it's just not.
Right, I'm saying you'd have to have a light for that to come out. You just couldn't just have a stop sign and go whenever you feel like going with the green light coming this way. I think that if we look at that, I think that's probably, if you ever look at that, I think what's gonna happen is that'll probably end up being a two-way stop. And they'll probably move the light, probably like the Vine or something like that, where it's more of a square type of intersection so that turn the way it is. I mean, I don't see any way that, I mean, you could do it, but it'd be one light would have to stop and the other one coming down Urban, where the other light turns green to get out of Urban, so, you know.
I mean, it's just, to back up what Kathy said, I mean, I go out every morning, I either have to go out Vine or Walnut, and vans and cars are parked, like maybe one car length, and I just have to inch out and
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's coming because
it's
you
bad,
really
we know
can't
it's
tell.
bad, and anybody who lives in this town knows how bad it is, how hard it is to get out of a Walnut or Vine. I mean, it's just, it's like ease out, take off.
Right.
Yeah, so you know, and I mean, we need to look at it, I mean, there's no doubt about it, and it's gonna get close, I mean, this development just keeps rolling right along, and we'll start selling, there's, you know, the high rises are gonna be going in there, we're gonna have to really be looking at traffic patterns, but we don't wanna jump and move a light and then find out, oh, we shouldn't have moved it there, you know, so, you know.
Just so
like-
everybody knows it's.
Yeah, everybody knows it, nobody's forgotten about it, I mean, you know.
So,
Just wanted to see if that was a possibility.
Mr. King, I know you asked before.
I'm Jimmy King. I just have posters for Home Fest. If anybody wants some, they're back there. If there's any businesses or windows anybody knows of for these to go in, that would be great. And pretty sure everybody knows it's October 3rd through the 18th. And there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff going on, live music going on the weekends, Friday and Saturdays. And Naked Karate Girls will be playing there on Sunday the 4th from 4 to 6 p.m. So if everybody could also get on Facebook and just share things. There's a Facebook page for Manhattan Harbor DCI. And that's always very helpful. And that's pretty much it. Posters are back there if anybody wants any.
Thank you. Anyone else? Joe, you had something to say?
yeah, I spent probably 30, 40 hours on that traffic study a couple of months ago. What action, and I agree, whether it's Walnut or Urban Terrace or whatever, something has to be done. What are we waiting for? I mean, does council have to take action on this, or are we waiting for approval of the units down at the bottom
I
of
think we
Walnut?
need to see what's going on as far as the development on this side, to see where the entrances are gonna be at for the buildings. on the south side of the flood wall. Where are these buildings gonna be, where's the traffic flow gonna be going into that? To get an idea of what lights need to be moved to where. And until we see that, and they get us through planning and zoning, I think at that time is when you're gonna say, okay, we need to move the light to here. And then get the highway department to look at it.
And I have a sense of urgency, I'm sorry. That answer, at least the preliminary answer, should come tomorrow at the planning and zoning meeting as far as what's planned down there. Okay. I know how long Michael, you and I have talked, I know how long these state studies and the requirements of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet take after you first ask for them.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do there's already been 2 big studies done per requirements of the development. I don't think they'll go to that length as they collect data. I think they'll do it on a much smaller scale, hopefully a much more expedited scale. Not to say that you want to rush into anything, but I don't think it will take, they're not going to generate an 80-page report.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be anything that expensive.
But I mean, this has been a traffic issue for years for everybody north of 6th Street trying to turn left or right, and south of 6th Street for that matter too, on Vine, Walnut, Urban Terrace, at least northbound has
It's
the
been like
light.
this forever. I mean, I've been down 60-some years, it's been like it.
I'd just like to get it addressed.
I understand.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience like to speak? Okay. Unfinished business, Donna?
I just want to remind everybody to not to forget about the Senior Citizens Picnic. It's Wednesday, September 23rd at the VFW Hall. That is for any senior citizen in Dayton 60 or older. This year we're going to have the food and dessert will come from our new caterer, Kate's Catering. And our entertainment this year will be the musical talents of Jerry Gifford, Mike Lenz, Harry Tucker, Mike Meredith, and Craig Cornett. So I want to thank them for supplying the entertainment this year. And I also have any council member that hasn't paid their all sports program AA cost, it's $7.69.
Anyone else have any unfinished business?
Mayor, we received a special events application.
I know we're not to that point yet. We're still in unfinished business. Do we have anything that's under new business? It's on the agenda. Okay. Anyone else have any unfinished business? Okay, now we're into new business. Go ahead, Bill. The special events application for the Dayton Eagle Block Party on September the 12th.
Make a motion, we allow Dayton Eagles to have their block party on September the 12th from 2 to 10 with their, they met all their requirements.
So you plan on blocking the street between 6th and 5th one?
From the alley between the clubs closed, not 5th and 6th, it's not on here.
So what is it?
It's that they want to block from the alley between the club, I guess, the Eagles and 5th Street.
Yeah, from the alley
Not
to
from
5th
6th Street down.
Okay, from the alley to the 5th.
Fifth.
Right, okay. Are they going to have alcoholic beverages out there?
Yes, they met them with their ABC license and stuff.
So they have a special license on the street. You can't use your ABC license unless it's, that's for the building itself.
They have requested, the site requested from the traffic light to the stop sign.
So it's from the
It
traffic
looks
light.
like all of Barry.
That's right, wouldn't turn on the area.
All of Barry.
All of area, I see it now.
I'm going to change your motion.
That to be allowed to have their special events, close the street from Mary 6th of Mary to 5th of Mary.
I'll second.
Second. Motion by Bill, seconded by Joe, Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Any other new business? Okay. Settings, you got something?
Yeah, I did have, because I've been getting calls from Bellevue, Fort Thomas, can we go ahead and set the trick or treat
That's
date?
what I'm gonna do right
Okay, that's it.
now. Set the trick or treat date, it looks like Bellevue, Fort Thomas, and Newport will be Saturday, October the 31st at 6 to 8. We need a motion to do that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe, Gary,
Second.
second by Joey. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye. I think 6 to 8 is just not long enough, I've always been saying.
That would be no.
Phil will-
We need to take our executive session.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
That probably should have been under unfinished business. At last month's council meeting, I asked the mayor and the city administrator to have the city clerk provide council with the monthly ledger of all checks issued by the city, and thank you for doing that. It's an eye-opener. I didn't realize we spend that much money every month. I think as city council, we all share the responsibility for the $4 million plus for our budget, and having this ledger every month allows us to ask questions now instead of down the road. I don't want this request for information to be misinterpreted as a lack of trust in our administration or our city employees. I do believe that our city employees are fulfilling their job responsibilities. I don't apologizing for taking proactive action versus reactions later. And I know I ask a lot of questions, but it's not because I don't trust people. My questions are to get myself better informed, and in many cases, the citizens informed. I do trust, but I feel that we also need to verify.
Thank you. Any other new business? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, we adjourn, Mayor.
Motion by Bill, second by Kenny, all in favor?
Aye.